According to the insiders, Biden is seriously going to consider resigning for real this time. Last time it was for play. This time it's for real. Possibly. Let's go to CNN. Here it is.
And talking to a senior Democratic advisor tonight who is telling me this. He said he believes the president is being, quote, more receptive to these calls of concern. He goes on to say this: the private conversations with the Hill are continuing, this advisor tells me. He's being receptive, not as defiant as he is publicly. Goes on to saying, talking about Vice President Kamala Harris, who initially he wondered how she may fare in a campaign should it come to that. I'm told now he's asking questions saying, do you think Kamala can win? Again, this advisor offers caution saying this: it is still unclear where he's going to land, but he seems to be listening. So, Jake, what we do know, this is a new moment for President Biden. Tomorrow marks 3 weeks since the debate in Atlanta, as you well know. He's heard so much concern from across the Democratic Party. Time is running short. The Democratic National Committee was thinking about starting their nomination process next week. That is now on hold. That will not begin until August 1st. So there is a bit of time for the president to make his decision. But hanging over all of this is the same thing as it's been for the last 3 weeks. If not him, who?
The question is, do you think Kamala Harris can win? Sir, you would not have won without Kamala Harris, because the black vote that won, that's your nomination after that swing in South Carolina. We didn't forget about that. The black vote in the general election, the black female vote that came out of record numbers. You think that was for you or for your vice presidential running mate, and the historic reality, not only of the ticket, but of the promises made. Remember, you all ran on a progressive platform, just didn't deliver it, but you ran on one.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
All right. Let me give you the background. I believe President Obama has made that phone call. So here it is. So President Joe Biden is allegedly receptive to conversations that explore his withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race. With multiple Democratic officials telling CNN the White House and the Biden campaign are in a new place. Additionally, per the Washington Post, former President Barack Obama has recently told Democratic allies that Biden should, quote, seriously consider the viability of his candidacy. Obama and Biden have reportedly spoken only once since Biden's poor debate performance against Trump, according to the Washington Post. Obama has been actively discussing the future of Biden's campaign with anxious Democratic lawmakers. Obama relying on data, looking at data, kind of like the Axelrod, according to Axelrod, you're just looking at the data, okay? Has expressed concerns about polls shifting away from Biden, Trump's growing electoral prospects, and donors abandoning the president. They kind of did that to Obama too after his situation with his pastor, but that did not stop his continued climb. So in private conversations, President Obama has reportedly claimed his focus is protecting Biden and his legacy, noting he alone cannot influence Biden's decision to drop out. So in response to the CNN report, the Biden campaign, as per usual, dismissed the report that you just heard. However, with Kevin Muniz, a Biden spokesperson, telling CNN, quote, if the facts matter, and they should, here is one. President Biden is the Democratic nominee, and he is going to win this November, okay? Look, you can look into that if you choose. If it comes after a report that claimed Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer urged Biden to drop out of the 2024 presidential race over the weekend, all right? Here it is.
And I am told that the pressure from Democratic leaders for Biden to get out of the race is intensifying. In fact, One person who has been out there publicly defending Biden told me just a short while ago, Biden is going to see the whole house of cards come down soon. As for that meeting in Rehoboth, Delaware, I am told that this was a one-on-one meeting, just the Senate leader and the president, and that Chuck Schumer forcefully made the case that it would be better for Biden, better for the Democratic Party, and better for the country if he were to bow out of the race. And David, when I went to Schumer's office to ask them to tell them I was going to report this and tell you this tonight, absolutely no denial from Senator Schumer's office. They only said this: Leader Schumer conveyed the views of his caucus. In other words, the views of Democratic senators. I am also told that Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, has expressed similar views directly to the president.
Now, politics by its nature is chaotic. Rarely do you get to see how the sausage is made. That's by design. Also, it is strategic. Now, when we said to the Democrats, we want more transparency, damn it, I'm talking about stuff like education, economics, okay? I'm talking about things like how we're gonna put more money back in the hands of Mama Them. But you all decide to be as transparent as possible when it comes to your imploding. I want you to be transparent about making sure America does not implode rather than your precious caucus or your institution, institutional leadership, whatever you may call it. So here we are, sausage being made, transparency right in front of you. It looks like a hot mess. Typically, it always is a hot mess. You just don't see it put in the forefront. And let's be very clear. Nobody is investigating if Schumer went and told Biden this. What happened? Schumer told Biden and Schumer leaked it. Do you understand? They leaked it. It's not some sleuth investigating this stuff. They are doing these meetings, making these comments, and then intentionally leaking them to the press for additional echo or commentary. That is what's happening. So the White House statement. Here's the full White House statement about the meeting with Schumer. The president told both leaders he is the nominee of the party. He plans to win. He looks forward to working with both of them to pass his 100 days agenda to help working families, end quote. That's wait a minute. Schumer just told the president of the United States to resign. The White House gave you one damn sentence. They tired of this. That's what's happening. Let's put them up. So per Politico, both Schumer and now Jeffries were also privately involved with pushing back against the party's recent effort to speed up Biden's formal nomination process. The men spoke to one another and both agreed to make the push per a person familiar with their conversation. Both men then relayed their concerns directly to the DNC before the party agreed to delay a vote to nominate Biden until at least August 1st. So now he has some breathing room. Everybody does. So meanwhile, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told President Biden that polls show he will lose his electoral rematch against Donald Trump and that he might sink the Democrats' ability to win the House if he stays in the race per CNN. And this follows a Politico report that alleged Pelosi was quietly working to remove Biden from the Democratic ticket. From the ticket. Pelosi has also reportedly talked with Obama about her concerns regarding Biden's electability. Who's behind it all? Now, this is an interesting scenario. All of a sudden, polls are predictions. Now, obviously, I would vote for Biden on life support before I voted for Donald Trump. So let's be very clear about this, all right? There's a hierarchy involved in the Constitution. The hierarchy says when a president is no longer able to do their function, the vice president takes over, which simply means if Biden is reelected, which is possible, if he is reelected, it doesn't create a constitutional crisis. There's a constitutional remedy, and that's your vice president. However, if Trump is elected, he's a constitutional crisis on day one. You literally give up your freedom of democracy. So I wish I could say that a lot of different policy agendas are on the ballot. Obviously, the biggest one is democracy right now. But the imploding is real. There's more. So the brutally frank exchange led Biden getting defensive about the polls. Sources told CNN, with one source claiming that Biden told Pelosi he'd seen polling showing that he does have a path to victory. It's unclear precisely when Pelosi's conversation with Biden took place, though one source told CNN it was in the last week. None of the people familiar with the exchange who spoke to the network said whether Pelosi told Biden during their conversation that he should drop out. A separate Politico report on the conversation claimed Pelosi told Biden, quote, she and other Democratic lawmakers worry that he's dragging down the party, and warned that some lawmakers in the party would grow louder in their griping about his political weaknesses. She also urged him to make a decision soon about stepping down, according to the outlet. Can we put up Pelosi one more time? You know, I'm being reminiscent here. There was a time I was the political director and chief strategist for the Georgia Democratic Party. And I remember when a lot of people were calling for the resignation of Pelosi. And it was a young President Barack Obama who said she will go nowhere. He stood up for her. It was quite interesting to see that. The political fallout was real for him and for many. Pelosi's office told both Politico and CNN that the former speaker had not spoken to Biden since she returned to California on Friday. Her spokesperson also questioned Politico's reporting on the substance of the conversation with Biden, saying the outlet sources are not good sources. Okay, so here we go. We're right here. There was a time when Democrats were running for Congress and different seats. They would literally, I'm talking about the Republicans, would literally run Nancy Pelosi ads and then connect that Democrat to Nancy Pelosi because Nancy Pelosi was just that toxic in many circles in the United States of America. That did not force her resignation, even though in ways she weakened the overall prowess of the Democratic Party. All right, just a lot of, Senator, what say you to this?
I sigh deeply, so I don't have to curse deeply.
Yeah.
Doc, this is an unsettling mess. Lack of courage here on behalf of the Democrats who have big titles. They behind this man's back, as you laid it out there for our viewers. They leaked this stuff.
Yep.
The polling for President Biden wasn't good last year.
Correct.
Polling is an indicator, but this ain't brand new. I mean, the folks acting, I don't know why they surprised. This is not new. He was not doing well in the polls even last year. But you know what? People like Pelosi and Schumer and all these other folks that all of a sudden are popping out saying to this man, you ought to leave. They should have been saying that last year. The majority of the American people were clear they didn't want to see a rematch between these two men. It's ego for President Biden, in my opinion, and it's how can I stay out of prison for Donald J. Trump. But I'm put President Donald J. Trump in the parking lot. Dr. Richey, if they believe, and I do believe, that the neo-fascism of Trump and all those who are created in his image is a quicker threat than neoliberalism. If my party really cared about that, then they would have been having these conversations last year, right, and not 4 months before a November election. You know what it is? It's cowardice. They don't get a cookie. They don't get a brownie. I have no respect for Hakeem Jeffries, for Pelosi, for Schumer, for none of these folks that now are saying to this man, get out of the race, when they are the closest to him and they saw this deterioration before it started happening. You know why I'm hopping mad about this, viewers? I want y'all to understand this, because Big Mama, Big Papa, and all that they love are not going to be all right. Pelosi and her family's going to be all right. Biden and his family's going to be all right. President Obama and his family gonna be all right. Y'all know where I'm going with this. The elites, they gonna be all right. But the people in hoods all over this country where they are misunderstood, working class people from all walks of life are not going to be all right. This is one of the most selfish things. And Doc, when you read that headline, see, really what they care about is him pulling down the ticket. Really what they care about is because the donors have spoken and said this president must go. Y'all need to get your guy. That's what they care about. I remember, I'm old enough to remember when I critiqued after the 2020 election cycle, Doc, I was ahead of my time. And I compared the election of both of these men as a half a bowl, and they came raining down on Sister Turner. But now all these high-minded folks are trying to push this man out of the election cycle. And we'll hear their word. There will be no consequences for these people in the same way that they tried to kill me politically when I just laid out what the facts were. And guess what? I've been proven to be right. But Doc, I ain't got no respect for these people because they want somebody to work a miracle in 4 months when we could have been doing this last year. And we could have had a real primary. So miss me with that 14 million votes. They wouldn't allow for a real primary process. See, all this could have came out in the primary. And I'm on record as saying we should have had a real primary. You pushed out RFK Jr. You mocked Marianne Williamson. We had one sitting congressman, that was Dean Phillips, who had the intestinal fortitude to run in real time and warn this party, and they pushed him out too and maligned his name as well. The only person to me that has the true moral compass of this is Dr. Cornel West, and he was so upset about it. He said, I can't run. He said he refused to even run as a Democrat. Yeah. So Doc, you know what? This is wrong on so many levels because so many people and causes that we care deeply about, that's why I'm amped up. The causes and the people that we care deeply about are going to be hurt. All these folks that's talking that noise now, they gonna be all right.
So well said. And I agree completely. Even Cenk, who threw his hat in the ring and said very clearly, he's doing this because this process deserves a robust competition of the best rather than what we're sliding into. And I gotta say this in moral equivocation, because I know that those on the left, the Pelosi's of the world, Schumer, et cetera, they will claim a moral high ground to those on the right with MAGA and these Trumpites. But let me make it very clear and echo what Senator Turner just said. If you're willing, if you really believe what you're saying, if you believe that Trump is going to do what you have said, if you believe that Biden is not able to defeat Trump, and you did nothing, how is it that the rights allowance of one man to destroy democracy, how is it better when you allow one man to do the same? Purposes are different, yes. Motivations are different, but they are both just men. And it's only one man on each side. Leverage that against the nation. Leverage that against community. I remember calling a dear brother of mine who's a high elected position now. I endorsed the man, still love him. But he made a decision not too long ago. I had to call him and I had to say, dear brother, I love you. But I love mama them just a little more. And it hurt me. But I had to do what I needed to do. And that's it. It's not always about what you're able to do to motivate people. Sometimes leadership is about making a decision to offend somebody when required. And we're simply asking for a few of you in top leadership because you said no to Senator Turner. You said no to AOC. You didn't want them to be part of the passing of the baton. These should be the motivators of the party, but you decided to put them aside. Now you have nobody motivating your movement. Progressives are motivated independent of your Democratic policies. Isn't that ironic? All right, we're gonna bring you updates as they come. We'll see if this actually pans out.